Hello everybody, welcome back to Language, Litigation, and Integration Part 126, Casual Conversations 51. So since like the last 3 days there's been like 17 million new school shootings and threats. So we'll be discussing gun violence and current events more. We got shooters and threats, current events and talking points, mainly gun violence, regulation, reactions, thoughts. I have a very in-depth chart up here on the board that's been verified by NASA and by all of the aliens. So we'll be discussing this chart about the maturity of our species. I ate breakfast this morning, solid breakfast. It was an absolute struggle. Again, like I literally have to mechanically eat. Like every single time, like when people are watching me, I hope this shit is absolutely recorded. Maybe not at Grafton Park because for the most part I ate there fine. This whole time here, and I'm on the third floor, so maybe. But every time I literally have to take a bite of food and then get up and pace around so I can chew and swallow it, literally. When I got breakfast down, got to the gym, I am an absolute slave and literally nobody cares at all. So we'll be talking about people shooting up schools because this is America and this is the biggest hellscape that has ever existed because people are pathetic as fuck and will never learn how to behave. So, our chart, right, so we have insecurity on the left, we have a bell curve. And I wish I could understand mathematics. That'd be so cool to be a mathematician one day. That'd be awesome. I've always wanted to be able to like learn and educate and do research, but man, I just can't. And over here on the right, we have maturity. And so our species, the vast majority of people, we have 20% to 99% here in this range right here. And 50% in this chart is based on where a normal person should be behaving. So if our whole species could behave, 100% people would be right here on the average with a good amount doing more mature things like starting businesses, helping people, community service, stuff like that. Over here on the lower end, we have school shootings, violence, robberies, and crime. And so the vast majority of people, 20 to 99%, are outside of that range. Plenty of people would, again, emotionally understand, maybe stealing, scams, like low-level crimes, low-level frauds, stuff like that. The vast majority of people would not understand violent. Well, I'd say 1 to 19% would either engage or understand violent crime, and then at the very lowest ends, just uninitiated violent crime, shooting up a grocery store, shooting third graders, but like gangbangers, most people could understand. Emotional responses between gangs, between actual antagonizing of individuals. So that is our very, very in-depth chart. And again, what I'm saying is that we can just get this 20 to 99%, we can get the 50% of people behaving properly. Just 50% when it should be 100% at behaving properly. That's our goal. Well, then this lower end of the curve is going to move up, and the people that are going to say, oh, I don't know what to do with my life, I'm pathetic, fuck, insecure, let's go kill people, is actually going to go away. But do we enforce the law? No. Do we have any values? No. Do we have any maturity? No. We have a bunch of, I don't even know what the generations are. We have the baby boomers, the one above them, silent generation. We have the millennials, the Gen X's, the Gen Z's, all the gens, and it's just a bunch of animals that don't know how to behave with no capacity to change whatsoever. And so that is absolutely true. And then we can take this wonderfully in-depth NASA alien verified chart and put it into, again, the context of legality consolidating to morality. The way people behave will be directly reflected in our legislation. But if people don't know how to behave and they just fall back in party lines, well, then we just stagnate and do nothing. And that period can go on for indefinitely, like literally indefinitely. And at this pace, we have probably, again, slowed down human progress at every instinctual turn of the way for 20 straight years. So when we even begin to start addressing and behaving properly, no fucking clue whatsoever. So, can't just, again, I said a lot of the gun regulation, I just like to see the suggestions and say, does this make sense? Does this not make sense? What do I think? So in response to the Uvalde shooting, Canada banning 1500 style assault weapons. There's a weapon buyback program and rifle magazines limited to 5. So again, a bump stock for anybody, and we've referenced that, is just a foldable stock, or really any gun modification that you can have a pistol, or even like a Mac or the Tech 9 or like a Uzi, and just convert it into a rifle style weapon. And so, bump stock is just a way to aim the gun more efficiently. The switches, those are just, it's a contraption to make your semi-automatic weapon an automatic weapon. And so, assault weapon ban, again, I wouldn't even be for, like, again, I guess 1,500 styles, but I'd certainly support rifles being legal, some sort of assault weapons. Again, if you're actually shooting properly, you'd probably want a stock so you can aim properly. But again, just whatever's practical. So banning assault weapons, pretty neutral. Certainly not against it if it makes sense. But again, is that really going to deter? Like again, though. And again, the people that actually do school shootings, I put it at the insecurity level of like less than a fraction of 1% of the people. It still may be 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 fucking people, but it's actually very fucking small. So is an overall ban, again, not against it whatsoever, but is it actually, people say I want to own a gun or an assault weapon, that's not what I'm defending. Is it actually going to stop the person that really wants to do some really fucking heinous shit? I really don't think so. There's no way, I don't say there's no way, but a complete confiscation of all guns, there's going to be a black market to some degree, certainly for criminals, for gangs, for stuff like that. So the person that wants to get their hand on one probably will. Ban in general, probably pretty good in general for the person who is kind of on the edge of doing some really dumb shit and just has their parents' gun unlocked or whatever. So pretty neutral on the actual banning of assault weapons, not against it. If it does help, do it, whatever. Weapon buyback program, I see that as trivial consequence. Yeah, some people might bring in gun, just buyback program, meaning you can just come to the police officers, they'll buy your guns off of you, no questions asked type of deal. I'm sure if you watch any TV shows, you've probably seen that. I say that's pretty neutral. Limiting the magazines, I think, is a good idea. Again, regardless of the style of weapon, if you can only have so many rounds. And again, even the practical, not to be gruesome, but if you had to only 5 rounds in a fucking mag, and then you're trying to shoot up a bunch of fucking kids, it's like you're gonna have to bring a lot of clips and reload and shit. So a lot of time to whack the dude, take him out, stuff like that. So I think magazine limitation would have substantial help in general. Again, because for the Uvalde guy, he bought them legally. So would it really stop the black market person who really wants to do some heinous shit? Again, probably not. Just being realistic. And those are kind of the things I've seen. Talking points are all over the place. We had a 10-year-old arrested in Florida for threatening a school shooting. We had a teen arrested for posting a picture of a gun and saying, "Siri, where's the nearest school?" I just had this other article up. There was a couple other ones. We had police arrested a teen for allegedly planning shooting a Berkeley, California high school. And we had another shooting at Tulsa, Oklahoma Medical Center. So this teen was, and one of these had a lot of the, let's read this a little bit, because one of these had a lot of other ones I didn't even see, which is always good. When you have 5 shootings written down, 3 threats, and there's here's 17 more. But a teenage boy was arrested in Berkeley, California on Monday after police received a tip he was recruiting other high school students to participate in a mass shooting and or bombing. Diversity, baby, gotta switch it up a little bit. Obvious fucking sarcasm. At a local high school. When authorities searched the teen's home, they found explosives, assault rifles, knives, and electronic devices that could be used to make more weapons, police said. The arrest comes in the wake of a mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. Since that massacre, which unfolded less than 2 weeks after a gunman killed 10 and injured 3 at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, authorities across the U.S. have made multiple arrests for threats against schools. Blah, blah, blah. Again, we can just kind of get to the part where there's another one. Okay, so no road past that for the dude in Berkeley. On Monday, a high school student in Wellington Village, Ohio, OH, was arrested for alleged threats against a school. The student's behavior was considered a reliable threat, 19 News in Cleveland reported. In New York, an 18-year-old student from Long Island was arrested on Tuesday for stating, quote, his desire to conduct a violent act towards students and faculty members, end quote, at his school, police said. The teen was suspended from school in May after his alleged involvement in several fights, ABC4 New York reported. Police in Florida arrested a 10-year-old 5th grader for allegedly learning of a threatening text message. The boy was charged with making a written threat to conduct a mass shooting. A 10-year-old fifth grader. There's that inspiration. We're going to teach our behavior. Now, we're not only going to shoot the third and fourth graders, we're going to inspire the fifth graders to also shoot the third and fourth graders. Baby, human beings are awesome. Right now, there's not a time to act a little delinquent. It's not funny. The sheriff, Carmine Marceno, said in a statement, this child made a fake threat and now he's experiencing real consequences. So yeah, there was a couple other ones, one in Ohio and one in other ones I didn't even have written down. So again, wow, we just keep shooting everybody and inspiring the fifth graders. Do you want to do a science fair project this year, Johnny? No. I want to load my triple mag AR-15, extended clips, the bananas, the drums, 100-round drums, yo. Oh, Johnny, maybe we should think of a new hypothesis for your science fair experiment. But in all seriousness, again, this is actually literally what's happening. I make fun of it because I make fun of fucking everything, and nobody's doing more than for education than me. Period. End of story. Not fucking funny, but have you ever like tried to help somebody and then you genuinely wanted to help them, and at the beginning you think they're gonna like follow through with the goals or the plans or whatever they say they're gonna do, and then they keep not doing it, and 1 year goes by and you're kind of annoyed. 2 years go by, you're like, okay, whatever. 5 years goes by, you're like, stay the fuck out of my life. And 10 years go by and you're like, told you fat fuck, you're not doing anything useful. I'm on year 20. So at some point we have to enforce the law to change human behavior. Human behavior will change the maturity of the species. Maturity of the species will stop defaulting to slaughtering people. So now reacting to some talking points, a little bit of Ben Shapiro, but mainly just my own research off of the news. So, you reviewed my lawsuit dismissal, but just some quotes again in response. Again, this lower level of insecurity of our wonderful NASA alien verified graph of insecurity and maturity. I mean, there's quotes like, they're going to deal with this trauma the rest of their lives. I'm thinking about one of the Uvalde kids that played dead or climbed out of the window. Again, that is the insecure person between this 20 and 99% trying to make sense of how people are going to deal with trauma. It's not true. People can get over anything. Life is so short that it's just not how biology works. But if you're in a stagnated species, they don't actually change, they don't form new memories, so they just say, how would that look like if you saw people dead at 10 years old? And at 10 years old, the younger people in our species and the older people in our species are way more viscerally aware of death than the 18 to 65 year olds, right? If you're just born, you're just figuring out what the fuck the world is, and if you're into your older ages, you're gonna die soon. So it's like, it's this sexually stagnated area between 18 and 65, where it's like, people are like, how would you ever process that? It's like nobody's getting out of life alive, so it's like we're all biological organisms. We're all aware that we're gonna die someday, unless you're fucking privileged and stagnated as fuck. Oh, I'm so scared of death. How could you actually be fucking afraid? It's because you're privileged and insecure and you've never dealt with real life before, and real life is going to come at you whether you like it or not. So, another just a quote that's just like pure narrative. And then the converse to that is the victims, when they're being interviewed and they say something, I think about this whatever tragedy every single day. It's like, no, you might, but it's not. Again, it's the same thing like a loved one passes away and people feel happiness. It's just processing information. That's what consciousness is. And insecurity is going to facilitate more emotional response. And so people say, wow, I'm going to think about this every day. They're responding to a reporter saying, how could you ever deal with this? They're like, oh, what is the sentiment this person want me to echo? Oh, I think about it every single day. It's like, maybe, but then again, it's regret in any context is not a normal emotion. It's a state of awareness of patheticness and insecurity and wasting your whole life. So people don't really think about tragedy every single day. And if you do, it's literally just processing and learning, and learning is always empirically rewarding. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to be stuck in emotional sadness until the day that I'm dead. It is not how emotion develops. Keep seeing people say lost someone to depression. Stop censoring human behavior. Someone didn't feel like they fit in and were pathetic as fuck, or whatever reason, and they blew their head off. They killed themselves. They did not lose somebody to depression, they fucking ended their lives. Stop centering human behavior with nice words and then facilitate more of that behavior you're trying to be nice and polite about. Stop it. Ben Shapiro, kids, quote, kids have to be taught things. They have to be civilized. Correct. Just like cannabis. When I talk about people, having values A through D, and we need values A through Z, again, Ben Shapiro, he has a nice business, he talks, he's popular, he has people listen to him, he's actually he's not educated, he can apparently to the rest of the beta male society he can argue or something with facts and logic. That was his big buzzword when I was first learning about Ben Shapiro. But then, what's he going to do? He's still going to default to insecurity. And it's not even his personal insecurity, specifically cannabis. It's the Republican Party ideology insecurity at the group level. And so everything is the same behavior. But you're correct, Ben. Kids have to be taught things. And age is just a number. And that doesn't just mean for people who want to say, I'm 55 years old, but I still feel 30. Age is just a number. Age is just a number. Insecurity and maturity. And if you don't grow up, if you don't learn, then you don't know how to behave. If you don't go to the gym and bench press, you're not going to increase your bench press. Actually, I think that's false. If you squat, just working out makes you stronger. But the point stands. And so it's just people just killing people, man. Nobody cares, nobody gives a fuck, nobody can care. Literally nobody can give a fuck about literally anything. And so yes, kids have to be taught things and civilized, and age is just a number. And people who are 30 to 70 that never grew up are still children. And we still have to teach them things like healthcare and proper ways to behave. Totally agree, Mr. Shapiro. Like you. Quote, you will be punished or rewarded based on your obedience. And he's talking about this like in a religious context, because again, Ben's traditionally religious, he's traditionally hypocritical. Yes, consequences are the result of actions. Still. Quote, America will have a special place in history. Correct. Your insecurity and overall lack of values of this entire fucking species, in talking about America and exceptionalism or religious exceptionalism for human behavior in general, you're correct. America does have a special place in human history. You stagnated the progress of the foundations of human knowledge for over 20 years, facilitating deaths and war left and right. You're 100% correct again, Mr. Shapiro. America has a wonderfully special place in human history. How many fucking dead bodies they've caused, and how little responsibility they feel for it, and how they continue to do so. It won't fucking stop. But that's really it, specifically to Ben Shapiro, just more quotes. The psychology of escalating crime, violent or otherwise. Why don't people report red flags? Again, coming from the criminal perspective, and I remember when I got my first bag of cannabis off the previously more reliable online websites, and just thinking like, wow, nobody's actually watching every fucking thing you do, specifically legally. It's not like someone punches you in the face and the cops just poof into the air right there. Someone has to report you, somebody has to call crime and shit like that. And so from the escalating crime, violent or otherwise, it's really just, again, having no freedom in the context of selfishness. I want to do what I want to do. If I want that guy's car, I'm going to take it. If I want that guy's watch, I'm going to take it. If I want to sell drugs, I'm going to sell drugs. And again, drugs should absolutely be illegal. Violent crime is substantially different than consented things that are illegally criminalized because of hypocrisy, statute violating common law, actually. And so it's the context of selfishness. I'm going to do what's better for me. I don't fucking care. And then they get away with it. And they say, wow, there's actually no consequences for this. And that's when you get the bully mentality. That's when you get the gang leader. That's when you get the alpha male of the group of apes. Because they can get away with violence and other people are obedient to it. So it's really just, again, like that, talking about the Uvalde guy, I think he was holding up a bag of dead cats. And so again, it's obviously animal torture is clearly indication. Fantasizing violence is always an indication. Why don't people report red flags? They don't want to be narcs. It's still the same primitive loyalty, right? Who wants to be the guy that called on Johnny for making an offhand comment and, then being the dick of the group? It's like nobody really wants to do that either. And it's a very, again, fit-in type of context, especially for younger kids. And so obviously you should report red flags, should not be ashamed or anything like that. But that's the sentiment of what is occurring. What makes violent crime make major news? Again, like a lot of these ones I just found in this article, didn't even know. It's when it violates the sentiment of most of the people, right? Shooting up little children is going to be a lot different than two gangbangers shooting each other. And again, because everyone agrees, because of the experience, because of the emotional state, because of the violation of consent, right? A third grader going to school, who again has to go to school because it's state mandated, is just doing what their parents say, doing what their teachers say, and then some 18-year-old's gonna come shoot us. I mean, that's such a heinous violation of consent and of potential of life. Again, we've talked about younger kids dying being more upsetting just because people are aware they didn't live their lives. So that's what makes violent crime. Which violent crime makes major news? And again, Ben Shapiro's talking about like Chicago not wanting to report on black people shooting black people. It's really just again what is the most severe violation of the overall sentiment of the group of human beings. And violent crime between gang members is infinitely different than slaughtering random children or slaughtering random people buying groceries. Neither of which are good, neither of which are acceptable, but it's facts. China asked the UN to look into U.S. mass shootings. Reference to that yesterday. Nice. Again, hypocrisy. But that's the thing. This is the sentiment at the country level, right? China can look over here. We'll violate the rights of millions of Uyghurs, but well, stop with those kids. You go look at them. This group of beta males, go look at this group. They're hypocrites. They're hypocrites. And then they just stagnate. And it's everybody. It is literally actually fucking everybody. There is no definition of an assault weapon. Ben Shapiro, false. A weapon that commits assault is an assault weapon. It's very simple. It's very direct. Words have meaning. Assault weapon that can do assaults. So, not specific to guns. But again, this is another oversimplification. People say assault weapon, I guarantee you think of a rifle. Maybe you think of a foregrip and a stock and a long barrel. That's local slang, identifying sounds, words to an object. So, literally, assault rifle or assault weapon, a weapon that commits assault. Doesn't even have to be a gun, but that's the local slang agreement of what everyone thinks of. That's what pops into your head when you hear the word assault rifle or assault weapon. How about just some ages for buying a gun, cigarettes, alcohol, driving a car, serving in war, sex, right? We have this 21 to 18 time frame for buying a weapon. Absolutely see no reason not to bump that up to 21. There's no grave need for a gun between 18 and 21. I think it would have some restriction again against those 18-year-olds. A big difference between an 18 and even the 25-year-old. 25 still children, but because they act like it, not because 25 should be acting like a child. Again, that's our goal. 50% of people being able to act their age. Probably never going to happen. But I would advocate for 21 for buying a gun, or at least maybe just more permutation, more permits, more licensure, more training, and maybe some differentiation there. Because again, if you can pick up a gun at 18 for your fucking country, you should be able to pick one up for defending yourself, but not without training, not without some sort of just more schooling, more education. For fuck's sake, because it's still that more education. It's the same thing. Cigarettes. And more of and alcohol, more of just biological consideration. Again, it's already 21 for cigarettes and alcohol. I think that's fine. I don't see any reason wrong with that. And driving a car. We can drive a car at 16 here in the United States. Again, can you pass tests? Can you demonstrate merit? Why do we have deficiency? Well, little Johnny needs to get to school. Well, I gotta go to my job that makes $100K a year and I fucking haven't had sex with my wife in 2 months and hate myself. So I don't really want to go to drive my kid to school, so he should be able to drive. But I think the reason for having a lower, and again, driving a car is a substantial responsibility as well. So I really think that's just an accepted efficiency and risk. Right? Driving a car is one of the most dangerous things everyone's going to do today. And so, it's sufficient. We're going to have to do it anyway, so 16-year-olds are cool. But in all seriousness, I think they're certainly cognitively capable. And again, if you pass your driver's test, stay off your cell phone, so text and drive, shit like that. But serving in war at 18, that's fine. Again, I don't know, sure. But again, just off the cuff thoughts for these, not really arbitrary, but biologically paired age ranges for different activities. The Heard and Depp trial results. Make sure I'm still rolling. So, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial result. Verdict. Again, I did not watch the trial at all, but I think Johnny Depp sued Amber Heard for $50 million for defamation for writing an article. Amber Heard countersued Johnny Depp for $100 million for defamation, I think, as well. So we had a jury of 7, had a decision on Wednesday, which would have been yesterday, June 1st, 2022. Johnny Depp won his defamation case against his ex-wife, Amber Heard, on Wednesday, and the jury awarded him $15 million in damages. Depp was awarded $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages in his defamation suit. The jury also awarded Heard $2 million in compensatory damages. Punitives, correct in this context. Compensatory, I have to think about the pronunciation. It is wrong. Just logically. But Depp sued Heard for $50 million after she wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post in 2018, which she called herself a public figure representing a domestic abuse. Heard countersued Depp for $100 million. And so, obviously, Depp won. But I just thoughts, why the fuck, like, why, if this, the $15 million for Johnny Depp and $2 million for Amber Heard, so it's just $13 million for Johnny Depp. Like, what? Why the fuck would we have, I'm suing you, 2 individuals, I'm suing you, you're suing me, here's a check for 15, here's one back for 2. It's like, what the fuck is that? So just legally, that doesn't make any sense to me, is why there would be just one settlement. Different verdicts on each count of any charge, but just one financial fucking statement. Compensatory damages versus punitive. What's the difference? Compensatory damages versus punitive. Obviously, punitive damages. Compensatory damages are not the only kind of damages that are awarded in a civil suit. Just fucking legal discourse is so, every jerk dick at Harvard with a law degree trying to use language and logic correctly, and they just fuck it all up. Punitive damages or exemplary damages are awarded to a plaintiff in addition to compensatory damages as a way to punish the defendant for a purposeful or especially negligent action. So what's the difference? What's the difference? There should be a clear difference. Oh, here's the difference. A bunch of cunts at Harvard, and some at Yale, and some at Brown, and then some at Stanford. Somehow they oversimplify and they agree on it. Just like assault weapon has a clear image in your brain. These words have a clear image in their brain, and it's logically inconsistent. So I don't know the difference. There probably isn't any, or it's clearly not clear. If I type it in, what's the difference directly into Google, and it doesn't say what's the difference, you don't know the answer. You can't say what you don't know. So, but just I thought it was very strange to have any damages awarded to Amber Heard when she owes more money. Like, what? Sick. I made $10 today, but I owed somebody else $1,000, so I made $10. Yo, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Anything else? Oh, I watched Real Madrid versus Liverpool in the Champions League final. Again, I'm still trying to figure out the exact structure of this, but I think it's just concurrent leagues. Like you have Premier League and Champions League at the same time. You just have different games in different leagues. Because I don't see how the timing would work out otherwise. We had a 30-minute delay because I think it's either ruckus outside the stadium, which I think is deplorable, or people couldn't get in, so they're waiting for the fans to get in. The game was actually rather boring. Only watched the first half and kind of just popped in, went out from sitting outside. So I didn't really watch the game too much, but I think Real Madrid won. And I'm pretty sure Real Madrid's the winningest team. They both of them have won the Champions League quite a few times. I saw Prime in the wild, the Logan Paul KSI drink. I think Logan Paul is from, he's like Cleveland area. I'm from Columbus, so it's pretty local. But I did see Logan Paul. I did see Prime at a pool, at an apartment pool at New Albany, Westerville area. So I did see Logan Paul's Prime in the wild, which I thought was pretty funny. I see all of them plugging it on the Impulsive podcast. But I have seen it in Ohio for the first time. What else? I think one other thing. Oh, Putin was treated for cancer in April, U.S. intelligence reports. Did I say that's very consequential for the military actions? No. Again, Russia is Russia. Certainly one person's the president can do a lot of damage or a lot of influence, but again, it's a sentiment of the overall any group of people, whether it's 2 people, whether 2 or more are gathered, you have a group. 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, a community, a school, university, a company where people don't even work together, they just know of each other and they're the same, their money comes from the same place. A country, which brings in a whole lot more of group dynamic, or the whole species at itself. Or life in general, all species together, all life matters. But I see that as pretty inconsequential. Again, you can have cancer, not die right away. You can have cancer and die right away, not change much. I've seen a couple other reports of top Russian general gets escorted out of the room for, criticizing the war, and this oligarch or this ex-person criticizing that. So the more of that, to me, is, again, more reflective and more a measurement of the sentiment of when, enough Russians are going to be like, this is the thing we should do, so it leaks back onto the actual government of Russia in its entirety. So again, I'm not a military strategist. I don't know. I'm not super educated on the relationships. So again, no, we couldn't even conjecture resolution. Stop it. Stop doing dumb shit, everybody. Again, this is actual history. You guys just keep fucking it up. We all live and die in 5 minutes. And if you want this your legacy to be this, and it already is, we're on part 126, there's no going back, then just stop doing fucking dumb shit instinctually. Fucking stop it. Respect my rights. Respect other people's rights. Enforce the fucking law. Be decent fucking people. It's not that fucking hard. It just isn't. And I have never met someone personally capable of doing so. And I look out into the world and nobody behaves. Just horny animals trying to come and pay their bills, and they stagnate until they're 65, and they just say, well, I'm going to die soon, so there we go. So again, another wonderful day of just shootings and threats and shootings and threats and shootings and threats and shootings and threats and some war. Apes on a rock, baby. Got another guitar piece done. At least I'll probably do another practice session. But that'll be up tomorrow. I'm going to go see Top Gun, watching Ozark. Pretty good show. So just keep the content coming. These will keep coming out just again as current events develop, or we're getting more documenting more personal crime in my own life because nobody knows how to behave. But again, hopefully to finish up this math proof at some point. Again, there's no closed systems. The proof just expands. So it's not like there's nothing like, fuck, I'll get to the end of sensorality, but for fuck's sake, man, I'm being tortured. Actually, real life, my rights are restricted, I can't collect my property, I get harassed and have crime committed against me instinctually. It's actually real torture. Nobody cares, nobody gives a fuck, nobody knows how to behave, and police literally instinctually refuse to enforce the law. So, just literally trying to survive. I've given up on a career, on a family, being treated with any decency, with any respect. I just want to feel safe enough to eat food. That is my only goal until I'm fucking dead. Because I will never participate in the greater section of society. I just won't. Because my maturity is off the fucking charts. You guys don't know how to fucking behave. So, thank you for watching Language Litigation Integration Part 126, Casual Conversations 51.